Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley and I'm here to talk about books. It is bright and early. It is around 7:30 a.m. on October 18th, Saturday. And today we are going to be starting on a 24-hour horror novella reading vlog. All of these ones I have picked out for this TBR are horror, but I don't know a lot about them. Aside from like maybe a couple things I remember being the reason why I added them to my TBR. So I won't really be giving a synopsis on them because I kind of want to be like surprised, especially with it being so many books in a short period of time. I really just want to like not know what I'm getting into. That is the most effective way for me to read, that is, especially with horror and like thriller books. First we have Day of the Door by Laurel Hightower, and this one is one of the books that I purchased after I gave Crossroads by Laurel Hightower 5 stars. And look at like the cover of this book. It is so creepy. I'm super interested in what this one is about because I have no idea, but I'm really loving Laurel Hightower's writing. LaRocca's We Can Never Leave This Place. LaRocca seems to write a lot of horror that's just really like fever dream-esque, but it's very artistic. So that's what I'm expecting with this book. True Crime by Samantha Kolesnik. I don't know how to say her name. I've never read anything from this author. I don't know if she has any other published books, but this one has been on my TBR for a long time. And then we have Daphne by Josh Mallerman, about a haunting, I think, at like a school. I think there's also some sports stuff in here, which I don't really know if that's for me, but I do like Josh Mallerman. I've read a couple of his books before. I tend to like him, but I don't know if this one's gonna be for me. We'll have to give it a try. It was another short book, so I picked it up. This one will be a maybe. And then last but not least, Jack and Jill by Kealan Burke. I also have read from him before. He tends to write short stories, one of his most well-known being Sour Candy. I know he writes a lot of really short ones, like so short that there's not even a title on the spine. And so I was like, if I'm gonna read a horror novella reading vlog, I kind of want to see if I can pick up another Kealan Burke. That is the TBR that I have set aside for this vlog. I also do have Petrified Women on my Kindle, but once again, don't know if I'll get to that one. This physical TBR will be like my main focus. In about 20 minutes, I'm going to start my timer for 24 hours. I think I'm going to do 12 hours today and 12 hours tomorrow, or we'll see if I start getting like really tired, or if things come up, I might just split it into 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. That is plan as of now. If I do read for 12 hours today, I'm gonna start at 8 a.m. and at 8 p.m. or around there. The one that is really calling to me is We Can Never Leave This Place by LaRocca. I really can't wait to see what's in here and I can't wait to be surprised. What the fuck? This is what I was expecting out of this book, but seriously, like, what the hell just happened? Now I'm questioning. So for starters, so I stopped the timer. I've been reading for a couple of hours, but this book, I always forget until I pick up another one of his books how insane his stories are and like how off the rails they go. So this one follows a girl named Mara who is living with her mom and her dad, and it's kind of like post-apocalyptic. You don't really ever get the explanation about what is going on or like what happened in the world that they're living in, but you just know that like they're locked inside. The house is essentially boarded up, or I guess it's an apartment, but it's like boarded up. They're not leaving, and her dad like goes out and scavenges for food for them. And so one day she's at home, she's with her mom, who is a piece of work, by the way, and somebody comes knocking on the door, and she's always been told by her dad not to like answer the door for people or let people in, especially when he's not home, because there's bad people outside. There's these people in gas masks, and they're telling her like, we have your dad's been shot, like here's his body, we're gonna return him to you, which is strange. But now it's just her and her mom, and you start to get this like feeling of uneasiness because you know that her mom and her don't have the best relationship. A couple days later, her mom invites a new guest into their home, and Mara's like, what the hell? Like, we are not supposed to be trusting of anybody out here in this world, and this guest is not your normal person. I'm not gonna say anything else, but he's promising them protection from the outside world, and he's making a lot of promises of things that he can do for this family. Mara is very distrustful of him because that's what she's been told to be by her father. A lot of strained family dynamic in this book between the mom and the daughter. Now that her dad's no longer around and she just has her mom to rely on, it makes it feel even more dystopian than it already was. It just gets really out of hand, and I have no words because I don't know if like the character is a non-reliable narrator or if it's like a fantasy type element. That's the one thing that I would say that I didn't really like about this one, is that it was horror, but it also leaned a little bit into the fantasy realm. And I'm not a fantasy reader, so I didn't really like that part. But it definitely was horrific. It had that to it for sure. I would say I'm probably going to land on like a 3-star for this book. That's how I'm feeling about it as of right now. I probably wouldn't read it again. Some parts of this book had me like, ew, disgusting. If you're somebody who is sensitive to like rodents and insects and things like that in your books and they really creep you out, this has a lot of that. So just know that going into it, it's gross. And then there's this other element that I'm not going to say here because I don't think it's on the back of the book, but there was this like gross element about the apartment all throughout it that it was like, when I was reading it, I said, ew, gross, like, ugh. So yeah, creepy, crawly, definitely gave me the heebie-jeebies. It was actually a perfect book to read for this spooky vlog, but I don't know if I would read it again. I think the next book that I want to move on to will be Day of the Door by Laurel Hightower. I'm really excited to pick up this book. I want to see if it is similar writing style to her other books that I've read. I do have a little bit before my husband gets home from work, and then when he gets home we want to take the dogs out to the park, and I'll probably bring my book and read it there as well. But right now I'm gonna get started on this and try to get through as much as I can before I need to leave. This is not that kind of video, ma'am. So I just got out of the shower. I got about 8 hours of reading done today, and I am pretty like much in the middle of this book. So I'm on page 125, which is chapter 17. I have a hair tie as my bookmark because I did not bring a hair tie, or I did not bring a bookmark to the park. So I put a hair tie in there, but I'm about halfway through and this is actually going so well. Funny enough, this one actually has to do with familial trauma as well. It seems like we are running a theme so far, but in this book, we are following our main character named Nate, and he is an adult, but we are looking into a situation that happened when he was a younger child. So there was 4 kids, his oldest brother, Sean, and then Nate was second, and then he had 2 sisters. I think it was like Aurelia and Kate or something like that. Their mom went through a divorce with their father, and then after the divorce, she just got really like mean and abusive, and they are living in this house that the mother claims to be haunted, but the kids were like, nah, you're just crazy. Like, you're just crazy and abusive. And she's like, I was possessed. And they said, no, you're psychotic. There's that whole thing happening. Their dad's just not in the picture anymore. Like, he's completely non-existent in their lives. The very first chapter starts out in the past on the day of the door, which is a day where the mom took their oldest brother, Sean, who was the one that she focused a lot of her abuse on, and took him to this room. All of the other kids were on the other side of the door trying to bang it down, trying to get him out of there. And all that they could hear was a lot of like violence and things happening. The brother ended up dying, and you find that all out in the very beginning of the book. And then we're jumping forward in time to when the kids are all adults. Nate is a very angry person. He hates his mom. He wants absolutely nothing to do with her. His sisters, they have like their kind of own thing going on. Present day, he gets a call from his sister because his mom is taking these investigators and the TV show back to their old home, and she wants her kids to come. She wants to get her truth out there and show them like what actually happened and like prove that the house was truly haunted. I can already tell you, even though we are getting the mom's point of view, Stella, where she's trying to prove that what she said happened actually happened, I do not like Stella. She is kind of a piece of shit, and that, like, every time that she's on page, I completely hate her. I cannot stand her. I recently did a video where I did like the 5-finger book challenge, and one of them was like the middle finger, and it was like a character that you hate. If I read this book before I did that challenge, Stella would have been my middle finger response, because I cannot stand her. When it comes down to whether or not this house is haunted, like, that's besides the point. She is just a very shitty person, and whenever people are like questioning her, or they're, you know, not taking her side of the story just as it is, she just responds so aggressively, and I just don't like who she is towards her children. So regardless of whether or not she was possessed, I absolutely hate this character. I'm loving the exploration of like family dynamics and trauma, and how the brain remembers trauma, and how like we process these emotions as human beings even into our adulthood. That is just something in general that I really like reading in books, and I do enjoy how it's portrayed in this one so far. Right now, my husband and I are actually getting ready to go see Black Phone 2 since it just came out yesterday, and I'm super excited to watch this movie as well. So I'll let you guys know what I think about the movie. We're gonna be leaving here in a little bit, and then we'll see if later tonight I want to pick this book back up and read some more of it. Maybe I'll just see how much I can read and when I can hit 24 hours. I will talk to you guys later. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see what time we get back from the movie. I'm not even sure how long this movie is, but yeah, I will talk to you guys later, and I cannot wait to pick this book back up again.
Thank you. pizza? I think I'll fucking do it. Right? What do you feel like? I think I'm gonna do this one. That sounds good.
She knows we're about to start reading again. Good morning. It is Sunday, bright and early. Did watch Black Phone 2 last night, and that movie, I'll admit, when I went into the theater, I didn't remember a lot from the first one. I was hoping that when I started watching the movie that like the first one, the memories would come back. It took a little while. It took me a little bit to realize that the characters who were in the story, aside from the brother, he was pretty obvious, but like the daughter, I don't remember what she looked like in the first one, but I didn't put together that those were the same character. But once that thing started to click, it made a lot of sense to me, and it actually ended up being a pretty good movie. There were some parts of it that felt really slow, and my husband actually is a chronic falling asleep in the theater person, and he definitely did that. But then he woke up and pretended like he wasn't sleeping, of course. I did really like the movie. I would probably say it's like a 4 out of 5. I do want to watch the first one again just to kind of refresh my memory on it. I remember like the main plot points, like how the first movie ended and everything, which is huge going into the second one, but that's besides the point. This book is so good. I am absolutely loving it right now, and I've been waiting to read it again. But we got home at like midnight last night, and I knew I had to be up early today for this video. And I also put a real bookmark in my book. I finished Day of the Door by Laurel Hightower. I think she is steadily becoming an author that I'm going to be picking up all of her books that I see, because so far I haven't been disappointed. This is now my 3rd book from her, and I rated one of them 5 stars, and then I rated the other one below and this one 4 stars. So yeah, I am really liking her. Just as I said in my last update, I really love the exploration of trauma that's in this book, and how trauma in the childhood can really shape a person and who they are as an adult. I liked that each of the characters in this book had a different way of coping what happened to them when they were children. Nate was a very angry person. He didn't know love very well. He wasn't even that close with his sisters in his adulthood. And the only person that he like let in and would talk to and considered like his safe person was Carrie. I also feel like there's some talk of like masculinity in this and what it means to be masculine yet emotional, because this character is closed off to his emotions, and as soon as he starts feeling any sort of emotion, his immediate reaction is just anger. Like, I just want to be angry about this because I can't be emotional. Like, I'm a man. And that is a really unfortunately common thing with a lot of men who experience, you know, trauma. They just don't want to be soft. They don't want to have emotions. And I like how that is discussed in this book, because it is unfortunately a huge problem. There's also this quote towards the end that really stuck out to me. I'm gonna read it to you guys. Nate is talking with his boss Carrie, and they work in kind of like a therapy-ish setting, like caseworker type of thing. Says, I see it all the time, and not just with children of narcissists. It's a knee-jerk urge for parents to calm and end their kids' emotional outbursts. They try to stop the meltdown, be it tears or a tantrum, and a lot of the times it comes from a good place. But think about that, the message that it sends. All of the adults get upset when the child displays a perfectly normal reaction, then they're praised when they stop. They get the idea that they're only loved as long as they're happy and calm. That anger and hurt makes them unlovable. That's where the shame comes from. I feel like that conversation right there will make a lot of people feel seen, because there are a lot of people who, like Nate, will be taught in their childhood, you know, don't have negative emotions. It makes you ugly. It makes you unlovable. And then when they do have negative emotions, they don't know what to do with them. So they're just angry, or they have like one negative emotion that they're going to associate to the entire realm. And sometimes it just takes a lot of work in therapy and just like emotional crap for people to rewire that part of their brain that tells them not to be emotional. And I really liked that in here. Like, this ended up being a lot more deep than what I expected it to be, but I love it. I really liked it. So yeah, 4 stars to Day of the Door by Laurel Hightower. So the book that I am thinking about reading next is True Crime by Samantha Kolesnik. I feel like this one I can probably get done today because the text is very large and spaced out. So, and it's also a really short book. So yeah, I think I can get this one done today, but I'm really curious to know what's in here because I don't know, again, what this one is about. I think it's about siblings because the very first line on the back of the book says Susie and her brother Lim. So I think this one's also about siblings, but we will see. Maybe it is another book about trauma so that we can continue on with this theme that I didn't mean to happen. Okay, first chapter done, and first of all, it's on theme. This is going to be about trauma. I can already tell. And I don't know, because some of the things already in just the first chapter that are being talked about, I'm like, it seems like this one is going to be very dark. But I am going to allow myself the grace on this one if it is too uncomfortable, if there's too much on page, because I can DNF it. But as of right now, I'm going to keep going and we'll see what happens. But I am a little bit scared. 6:24 p.m. and I have been chipping away at that time. I did take a little bit of a break from reading today because I just needed some time to process what I'm reading here, because guys, this book is fucked up. Like, it is disturbing and fucked up. It has been pretty uncomfy to read this throughout, but I am entranced in the story. I want to know what's going on with these characters and like what ends up happening with them, but I have to admit, it's been fucked up. Like, it's bad. Samantha, girl, what the hell? It's definitely not like a fun or good time per se, but it is very well written and I am locked in with the characters. I want to know. I need to know, how does this end? And I did get pretty far into it, page 107, which is chapter 20, and there's only this much left in it. I was reading it like this, you guys. Like, I definitely think that you need to be in the right headspace to read this book. And absolutely, if I do not say this enough, absolutely check your trigger warnings with this. I'll put a couple of them here on the screen so that you can see this is what this book is about. I still am going to be talking about this book, but also this video will be time-stamped so you can skip on to the next book that I'm reading, or you have free will, you can click off if you want to. But yeah, so this one is told from the point of view of a very young girl. I think she might be a teenager, but her name is Susie and she is raised by her mother and her brother Lim. You find out very quickly in the story that her home life is super depressing. Her mother is scum of the earth. I don't even know where this girl's father is, or if it had told me and I missed it. But not only does her mother abuse her, but she also lets men come into their home and violate her daughter as well. in return for some money. So that is gross. That is absolutely disgusting. And then aside from that, Susie has this morbid fascination with this magazine that she likes to read, and it is called True Crime, and it has some explicit photos of like victims and stuff in it, which I'm sure is the inspiration behind this really eye-catching cover. She's also just really fascinated by like violence and murder and things like that in general. She's kind of a sociopath, but you also know she's gone through so much that it's like, you know, when you're watching a true crime documentary and it goes into the like past of the serial killer and you find out that they didn't have such a good life. Like, this is classic to that. That is kind of one and the same, except that this is fiction. Even though it says true crime on it, this is a fictional story. And there is a warning here on the very first page saying that it is a fictional story. One of the days that her mom is preparing her for somebody to come over, Susie is pushed beyond her limits. She's had enough, so she ends up murdering her own mom. And then her and her brother steal her car and they hit the road. They're kind of in hiding in a stolen car. Mom's dead, back at home type thing. I did read the back of the book, and it does tell you here that they go on a cross-country murder spree beginning with their mother. So that is all in the synopsis. So this is a very hard book to read. Like, the content in here is just absolutely devastating. Reading passages of this girl just being violated her entire life, and she now has like this skepticism when it comes to almost any adult that is not her brother, where she just assumes the worst out of them. She assumes that nobody has any good intentions. I do want to finish this book. I just had to take like a break from it for a little bit just because of like the content that was in here. It was a little rough. Maybe this would have been better suited for me not to read in like a fast-paced 24-hour reading vlog, but it's short. The text is like huge, you know, which is probably because most people are reading it like I was, far away, so the book can't hurt you. We went out and ran like some errands and stuff, but I'm going to eat something really quick and then I'll probably continue reading this, and I would like to finish this one tonight. I really don't have a lot left of it, and then I can start on the next book if I feel up to it. But yeah, that is my update. I was trying to do it more midway through this book, but what happened. It's all right. Hello, it is just me looking like a wet dog again on the internet because I just got out of the shower. It is 10:47 p.m. and I did get about an hour or so of reading done. I have finished this book and I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. So far everything that I'm reading in this vlog has been pretty decent. I haven't had anything that's been like a flop. This is hard to rate because it is a very difficult topic of conversation, but somehow all the books that I'm reading in this vlog are about trauma and shitty moms. I won't say that I enjoyed my time reading it. It's definitely a difficult read, and if I was not in the right headspace to read this, could have easily been a DNF because the content is so heavy. There's a ton of conversation that could be had with this book. If you were in like a book club that was reading really dark and disturbing books, then this one could be a great book club discussion, but it's not the type of content that I would just like throw at a wall and be like, hey, yeah, you should read that book. It's definitely needs a certain audience. There's also some other plot lines that I didn't mention, and I won't mention because they're not like in the synopsis or anything, but there is some other plot line involved that you find out about very early in this book, and then it didn't get brought up again until like the end of the book. And that part I was kind of confused because it seemed like a really big deal. And so I was like, are we just going to brush over that, or is that going to come back up later? And it did. So I was very surprised to see that. I was happy to see that it did get brought up again and that it wasn't just like a unnecessary detail thrown in there that made you have feelings about a particular thing for it to like not go anywhere. I would recommend it if you're somebody who's not sensitive to a lot of topic, even on the cover right here, but a lot of people online are saying that this one ranks alongside Jack Ketchum's A Girl Next Door and J.F. Gonzalez's Survivor. I have not read Survivor. That one is on my TBR for me to read eventually, but I have read Jack Ketchum's Girl Next Door. This one I would say has a lot more broad range of triggering content than The Girl Next Door has, but if you can handle that book, this one also could be one that you could read. Or if you're looking for a book similar to that one, maybe even darker, this book is a book that you could read. I'm gonna let that book have its moment because it was very heavy, as I said a million times already. So I think I'm just gonna relax a little bit tonight, maybe play some video games. But with that being said, I will see you guys in the morning. It is Monday and we have like 6.5 hours to read today. I think, because we have 2 books left on my physical TBR, I think I want to do this one because I can get the audiobook for this off of Libby, and I really want to color just to start the day off. Color a spooky, cute little picture and read probably the lightest book that's on my TBR, hopefully. So I decided that I'm going to DNF Daphne because, first of all, this book has no chapters. It is just one long chapter. And I hate when a book is like that. I can't stand it. I live for a chapter. So that is not for me. Second of all, I've also realized something about my reading taste recently, and this book kind of confirmed that for me. So for the buzzword cover and title challenge this month, it was a book that had a weapon on the cover and then a book that had violent words in the title. So I decided to read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This is dark academia. This is dark academia. I don't think I like that subgenre. That one is set in college, but this one is set in senior year of high school, right before college. So it has like that school aspect to it, and I just don't think that's for me. It used to be, like when I was a younger reader, I really liked reading books about school and I can relate to it. I can't relate to that now. I also don't find it very interesting anymore to read about like students and stuff. And then the other thing that I don't really like about this is that it centers around a girls basketball team in high school. I kind of knew that going into it, and that was the thing that I thought maybe that's not going to be for me. But I'm realizing that almost none of the details about this book are things that I enjoy or that I like. There's been a tiny bit of like horror and suspense in here with like this ghost Daphne that haunts this school. Used to go to this school and she was like murdered or took her own life or something. There's many different ways that the story is told. So that is like part of the lore of this urban legend, is that you don't actually know what happened to her. So like the very minimal bits of horror that we've gotten so far was the only thing that I found interesting. And so then we have Jack and Jill by Kealan Patrick Burke. And I think since I DNF'd Daphne, I'm probably gonna read Petrified Women as well. But first I'll start on Jack and Jill. So I think this might be my favorite Kealan Patrick Burke so far, but I don't know because it's actually been a while since I've read one. I read Kin, Blanky, and Sour Candy, and I really thought this one was good. Like, this one was really good. I think I'm gonna give it like 4.5 stars. This book is about trauma, but instead of it being a shitty mom, it's a shitty dad. But I liked it. It was good. I liked how it ended in a different way than some of the other books that I've read. I wouldn't really say that there was like a twist. It was more like a reveal that I didn't see coming. Like, I did not expect that, and it shocked me a little bit, but I did like this, and I think I'm gonna continue purchasing some more Kealan Patrick Burke. I might even reread some of the ones that I have. Leaves us with an hour and a half left, and I'm gonna read Petrified Women. Update you guys. So I just finished reading Petrified Women by Jeremy Ray, and you guys, that book was the perfect book for me to end on because it had like a lot of dark elements to it. It was different than all the rest of the books I read by like a lot. It had nothing to do with these people's childhoods. It was about a relationship. That one was kind of like a horror thriller adjacent. Like, there was one part of the book where it was really uncomfy to read, but the rest of it was just really fast and like heart pumping, and I could not stop reading it. Like, my timer went off, but I really wanted to finish it because it was so good. I think that one will probably be a 4.5 as well. So this was a pretty successful reading vlog, considering that I had my one DNF, which is fine. I'm okay with that. This one I rated 3 stars, 2 4-star books, which this one would have been 4.5, maybe 5 stars had it been either longer or shorter, like more detail and character development, or maybe a little less and leaving things to ambiguity. And then these two, both 4.5. Like, this is how you do horror novellas. These are the 2 stars of the show right here. because this is what I'm looking for when I'm picking up a horror novella. Like, there was just enough detail, but then it also leaves some details to the reader and there's ambiguity in it. Both of these books do have some stuff that might be triggering to some people, but it's not all like on page uncomfortable to read. If you're looking for a horror novella to read in one sitting front to back, both of these ones were perfect for that. Of course, like I said, I am still really happy that I read these ones. And then this one, I feel like I learned a lot about myself. This was so much fun. I definitely would want to do another 24-hour reading vlog in the future, especially breaking it up like this so that I'm not like depriving myself of sleep and being miserable. If you guys read any of these books that I read in this video, feel free to comment down below and tell me what you think of them. And I am totally open for discussion. I want to hear what your guys' opinions are, considering that most of them I really enjoyed. And that is not something that happens for me a lot. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this reading vlog. Thank you if you stuck around till the end. And I also hope that you have a really good spooky Halloween. I am so excited for Halloween this year. If you liked this video, please don't forget to like it, comment down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!